being at my daughter's softball game on the weekends and my phone vibrate, and and I'm just watching the game, making money. It's a crazy feeling, and I didn't think it was a thing.
Having all that stuff outsourced it's crazy. And I mean, I remember the first wholesale order we did through a prep center, where it's like we placed the order with the supplier, then it goes to the prep center, then it goes to Amazon, then it sells through. It's like literally did not touch the product once. Yeah. I barely even looked at it. Yeah. I just had the money, and then somehow more money ended up in the bank account.
E-commerce is the greatest business opportunity of our generation.
What's up, people? Welcome back to another episode of the Ecom Unlimited podcast. Today, we have our friend Tommy here with us. He is a newer Amazon seller, but has seen a lot of success in his early days. And we just wanted to talk to him about his journey selling on Amazon, what challenges he's faced, how he's found the success he has, and hopefully give you guys some value. Another fun fact is Tommy is not currently, but was from the same region of Pennsylvania that we're at. So we can talk about that a little bit too. But Tommy, how you doing, man?
I'm doing well. How are you guys today?
Good, man. Yeah. So how long have you been selling on Amazon?
So I think my first item that I sold was in the end of July, maybe last week in July.
So, and right now we're recording this in December of 2023. So it's been about 5 months.
About 5 months, 5.5 months or so. Yeah. It's been an interesting 5 months. That's for sure.
What business models do you like to kind of use in the Amazon kind of space?
So it started out mainly doing a lot of OA, right, and FBA. The guys that got me started kind of got me on that kick. When I first started, my whole Amazon journey started with just trying to make some extra money. I got 2 kids. They're in travel sports. We're traveling every weekend. And one of my wife's friends had like a webinar type thing, a free webinar. And she was like, I've known this guy for quite some time. He sells on Amazon. He seems to do pretty well. Why don't you check it out? I said, sure, why not? So we listened to it, and I listened to the webinar, and then, he starts getting into the sales pitch, and I'm like, here we go. Here comes the catch, right? But we had a little bit of money saved, and my job slowed down a little bit, and I had some free time on my hands, and I said, if I can make an extra $200-300 a month, it's well worth it, So I started doing that. I got some products listed, and stuff started selling, and I started to see the potential that can be had, if you just invest a little bit of time and a little bit of work into it. And then it kind of progressed to doing a lot of FBM, because I found out quickly I can test my products a lot quicker FBM than if I'm sending in and waiting for them to get checked in and everything. And then it started turning into more RA, right? Once I started finding stuff, and so I'll use any business model. Whatever's working at that time is what I'm gonna roll with.
Yeah. And if this is your first time listening, we just kind of threw around a lot of acronyms. So FBA is fulfilled by Amazon. So that means you buy the inventory, send it to an Amazon warehouse, and then when a customer buys it, Amazon sends it to the customer. FBM is fulfilled by merchant, which means you get the inventory and then it's listed on Amazon, but you ship it directly to the customer when the customer purchases the product. And then OA is online arbitrage, flipping brand name products, buying online. And then RA is retail arbitrage. So buying brand name products in store in a retail store and then selling them.
Yeah. Thanks for that clarification. I forget, because like when I started, I had no idea what any of that was,
Yeah.
I remember after the webinar, I said to my wife, I said, other people sell on Amazon? I thought Amazon was just Amazon. I had no, in my wildest dreams, I had no clue anybody else sold. I had no idea it was a third party platform. No clue.
And most people are like that. They just think whenever they buy off of Amazon, it's from Amazon. But little do they know it came from our garage or your living room.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, Amazon does such a great job on like their platform of hiding that from the seller that honestly, it was ingenious. I mean, obviously Amazon is an ingenious company in themselves, but in that platform and the way that it's structured is like, they did a very good job of making it so that everything seems like it's coming just straight from Amazon.
Right.
Yeah. So,
Yeah, oh, you got it, Josh.
okay. So tell us about, did you have any like, big breaks when you were doing one of these? Was there like a certain like product that you felt like did really well, and like how did you go about maybe getting more of it or making sure like the margins were better? Like what were some ways that you kind of worked through different whether it's like just kind of gift cards, coupons, or just the deal was like that good? How did you go about like maintaining that specific margin and getting more like product than you probably would just maybe go into like a store if you were doing like a lot of RA?
Right. I think a lot of the tricks with the online stuff is finding out if there's an order limit first, right? There's been times when I've tried to order too much and my orders get canceled. So I try to find what that threshold is. I've jagged my address a little bit. I've talked to my neighbor. I've used their apartment address. There's definitely different ways to get around certain hurdles that you may come across. So when I first started, I went more wide than I went deep on something, right? I had capital restraints when I first started. I think I had like $5,000 cash, and my credit wasn't that great by any means. I didn't have, I see people spending hundreds of thousands of dollars on credit, and I'm like, I'm not there yet. I'd like to get there, but I'm not
Sure.
there yet. So my quantities were much smaller, but I went wide. I didn't fully invest on one thing until I knew that it was moving. I think it started mainly with like the Nike stuff. That's kind of the first thing I think everybody tries to go to, is getting into the clothing and apparel and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And then it started getting into, I finally got an ungate for Stanley.
Cool.
So I started throwing some Stanley cups around. The moment that I realized that this was an attainable business model, I remember I went to Walmart, and there was like this Crayola product there on the shelves. It was on rollback for like $15.88 or something. And I quickly scanned it with the SellerAmp app, and I saw that it was selling like a lot, based on some knowledge that I had gained by looking at charts and stuff like that. And it was selling for like $45, $50. They had a bunch on the shelf on the end cap. And I just bought like 10 of them, just, not thinking anything of it. I cashed out. I listed them on the way home. Before I even got home, they were sold.
That's the best. That's the best moment.
I got home and I talked to my wife, and I was like, they're all gone already. And she was like, no way. And I was like, yeah. And she's like, well, do they have more? And I was like, yeah. And she's like, well, you better go now. I went again.
She knows what's good.
I went again, and I'm like, this is definitely a fluke. And I think I grabbed I filled up like 2 shopping carts of them. And
That's awesome.
Again, they sold in I think in 24 hours, I think I might've sold like 60 units or something.
That's
the
awesome.
ROI was crazy. And I was like, I just made 2 months worth of work in 2 days. It was absolutely mind blowing. Granted, it's not like that always, obviously,
Sure.
But finding them ones, it got the blood pumping, it definitely sparked that chase, and then, things went on, and then I happened to come across another RA product that I've heard I've seen guys like Miles and stuff, with his catchy tweets on Twitter and stuff. He said, one ASIN can change your life. And, I've experienced that in the past few months. I've had one ASIN, one parent ASIN with a couple different variations. And, I've sold thousands upon thousands of units, and all FBM, So it's been crazy. I found out quickly that it's way more than just sitting behind the computer and ordering stuff. There's a lot more involved.
Yeah.
And then all this while having a 9 to 5 as well, right? So you get what you put into it. There's been plenty of days I'm up at 3:00 in the morning packing packages to make sure the postman has them. I got him scheduled, so I can leave for work by 5:36, and it's definitely worth the hustle.
Yeah, that is a grind. Mad respect to you for that too. But yeah, I mean, literally one ASIN can totally change your life, totally change your business. So both of these ASINs that have done really well for you, particularly the RA ones, you kind of just stumbled upon them, right? Or was it something where you got a tip from another seller to go check this out, or you were just in the store scanning and then there it was?
The first one was just a lucky find, 100%. The second one, I kind of had a little tip off. The very first Discord and the very first group of people I got in was a Discord. It's called Profit Pings. They're much smaller Discord, but that's where I found out. I've never experienced anything really quite like the Amazon community, right? Lots of different businesses and stuff you come across. Nobody wants to share their secrets. Nobody wants to know. Nobody wants to tell you what they're doing or how they're achieving what they're achieving. But I've found through Twitter and through meeting certain people, everybody is willing to help everybody, and it doesn't matter if they're selling $1,000 a day, $100 a day, or $10,000 or $100,000 a month. I've talked to people, like you guys, like yourselves and like Miles and Pete. These are it's like going to a basketball game and seeing Michael Jordan. There's no way these guys are going to talk to me, but they will talk to you and they will spend some time and they will help you, and that's mind blowing to me, and I try to repay that. I'm still an infant in this by any means, but I've got more experience than the person that has less than me, so.
Yeah, totally. And we're the same way. Cause I mean, we would not be where we are if it wasn't for the help of, some of those guys that you named and other sellers that have given us the time of day to answer questions and help us get to where we are. So yeah, it's a cool part of the community for sure. And like you said, right, you got that tip off from that one Discord that you were in. And so that's another encouragement just for people to network, whether it's on Twitter, whether it's Instagram, whether you have friends that are doing it in real life. The more you can share that knowledge, everyone's going to win. And there's no need to have a scarcity mindset because Amazon's just so big. I mean, we're less than a drop in the bucket. It's there's so much opportunity, and you just have to go looking and get creative as the marketplace shifts. But there's always room for everybody to win.
Agreed.
100%. So what are your, maybe you could talk about maybe some goals potentially next year that you have for yourself and you like your business?
I'm starting to see that it's a real business. I've gotten the LLC, I've gotten the accountant, because when I see these payouts coming, I'm like, I'm a blue collar guy. You mentioned before, from Southeast Pennsylvania,
Represent Delco.
Delaware County, right? Westchester, media, all that stuff. I was in the union out of Philadelphia.
Okay.
My family's always been blue collar work, and I've never owned a business. It's always been, you work for this is what you get at the end of the week, and this is just what it is. So when I started getting 4 or 5 figure payments from Amazon, I'm like, I got to make sure I'm doing this right, because I didn't want to get in any trouble. And so it's been working on getting more systems in place. I think I had seen a tweet by yourself, Cajua, that you wanted to help out a few sellers on how you run your business and the processes and all that stuff. And and it was the same thing with the first call. I'm like, okay, this sounds good. And then we had the Zoom, and then okay, so what's the catch, gosh? There's got to be a catch, right? But I'm not afraid to invest into my business.
Yeah.
Right. The information that I've got from you and from Josh and from other people that's in our group, and and you being so open to communicate how you run your business and being able to implement that into my business has paid for itself tenfold. I forget that I even invested that into it. That's well in the past. So for new people, I would say don't be afraid to invest, in yourself and into the business. And that's been the biggest thing, because I never would have been able to do it by myself. Some people may be able to, but I needed coaching, I needed help, and I needed, advice on what works and what doesn't.
Yeah. And I think like we all do, and I think people can get so caught up in like doing it themselves. Like I think that's like a big narrative, like in like our like culture. It's like independence, do it yourself. Like other people, like they might not know what they're talking about, or it might be different for you. And yeah, sure, everybody's different. But especially when it comes down to business, like, man, if someone's like smarter than you or someone knows more than you, like getting that edge over everybody else who's going to probably try to do the same thing, do it the cheapest way, the most convenient way, the most not scary way. Like as soon as you start kind of doing it that way, business can take a turn for the worse quickly if you just make a few mistakes that could have been avoided if you looked for, potentially, some other knowledge or somebody else who's been in those shoes.
And I'm not, and like I can't beat around the bush. Like this is probably one of my greatest fears, and one of the most uncomfortable things for me to do is like put myself out there like that. Like I'm a real introverted person. I don't like the spotlight. I don't like attention. But I was told, put yourself out there by people who have won at this. If you want to get what they have, you got to do what they did.
Right.
I'm not here to reinvent the wheel. I just want a piece of the pie, and I think everybody that I've talked to isn't afraid to share that pie, and I'm glad to be a part of it. That's for sure.
Absolutely. Now, like going into next year, like where do you see yourself? Are you thinking about, continuing like that RA FBM kind of grind, or are you thinking about maybe like maybe changing, maybe going into a little bit like a wholesale? Like, what are your thoughts on?
For me, I think that's more the direction I want to go, is more of a, a wholesale replenishable items type thing.
Gotcha.
I'd like to transition more into FBA. I think just starting FBM is absolute necessity, right?
It's
getting into the trenches and actually grinding and doing the work.
Yeah.
And don't get me wrong, like I'm still going to do that with certain items, but I'd like to transition in more in the FBA.
Sure.
Obviously at some point here, I'd like to be able to do it full time. I've been blessed that work kind of slowed down the past 2 months, so I've been able to focus a lot more on the business. But in the new year, stuff's going to start picking up again, and I'd like to be able to transition into being able to doing this full time. I really enjoy it. And it's been going well.
Nice.
Really
So
exciting.
what's your current split FBM FBA? Because I know you're doing some FBA, but it sounds like you're still majority FBM.
It's probably, honestly, at this point, probably about 80-20. I think that's been the hardest part. Like with the velocity, the item that I had, it's been all that. Right. There's literally no time to get anything else out.
Yeah. And it makes no sense to almost do an FBA.
Yeah, it makes no sense.
It was going to sell the same day.
I've thought about it, and I'm like, why would I do that? Now I have sent some in FBA, I do have stuff at FBA. I still have a bunch of things there, so I'd like to keep sending more stuff. It can be very, very busy,
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah. And I'm assuming you're doing most of that FBM packaging yourself, right? Because you said, getting up real early before you even going into work. Do you have your family members helping you with packing, or you're just like
in the beginning, the whole family was involved, right?
Oh, I love it. I love it.
But once the numbers got up to 150, 250, the kids kind of lost interest, So I've been doing a lot of it on my own, but the support of my family is huge. My wife is absolutely phenomenal, supports me 100%, and offers to help, but she works full time as well, and I can handle it, so I kind of have been doing it my own, which is fine. you know.
Yeah, I remember last year, me and Kaj, both our moms were helping us during this time. I know it's just awesome just to get everybody in like the warehouse. You know, we got the Christmas music going and just ripping packages left and right. It was awesome.
Yeah,
And
that's so huge.
Some advice like for new people as well, as far as like the RA is concerned. Like if you find an item and you're frequent in a store consistently, get to know the manager, get to know the person buying the stuff, get to know your mailman, right? Get to know the UPS guy. I remember when it first started going crazy, and I had like 200 packages sitting outside. Somehow the mailman got my phone number, right? I answered the phone, I'm at work, and he's like, I can't do this. I'm like, what do you mean? It's your job. You're gonna do this, right? Like, I'm confused. And he said, and so after a little bit of talking, you know, I figured out how to do the end of the day reports for him, so he can just scan one thing. I've given him a tip here and there, and there's no complaints. I have his cell phone now. I don't even have to schedule it. I just text him in the morning. I've got so-and-so packages. He comes and picks them up. Managers at stores, I've brought them gift cards. I've brought them Starbucks gift cards. Because if you think about it, they're there, you know, just like we are. They're just doing a job. People aren't coming in there to take care of them. You know, people expect them to do their job, but you come in and you offer them something. They're gonna remember you, and they're gonna call you when the item comes in. You know, and for me, that's huge. When I get the phone call, hey, we've got 15 cases of this product in the back, and they call me before they even put it on the shelf, right? And they give me the opportunity to completely buy everything.
Yeah, that's so cool. Now kind of walk us through, because you said you were a little introverted, and you know, going up to a store manager, it's like, geez, like, what do I even say? Like, I just know I want a bunch of this product because it sells great from like my store. Like, how could I make it, you know, beneficial for maybe like both parties? Like what was kind of going through your mind there, and like how did that conversation kind of unfold to where, you know, it looks like you have a great relationship with that manager now?
It wasn't easy for me, right? I know there's people who can go up and just start a conversation with people. Me, I go up to start a conversation with somebody, and the big red stop sign goes on in my head. And I have no idea what to say. But then, you know, 30 minutes later, when I'm out of the situation, I'm like, oh, I should have said this. Oh, I should have said that. I have a friend who's a big time eBay seller, right? He's got like 400,000 items listed on eBay. He does all apparel. He's massive.
That's crazy.
He would push me. He goes, just ask them, right? What are they going to say? You know? So I did, and they were receptive, you know, and I think
that's cool.
You will get shot down, but that's okay too, right? I mean, you don't know unless you know.
Yeah, that's really cool.
You just gotta take the action.
Yeah.
The worst case scenario is they say no.
Yeah. You know, and then you leave. You know, I've been at the cash registers, and forget what the lady said to me. She used some word, but it wasn't reseller. It was something weird. I'm like, what are you talking about? What do you even mean? You know? But I think the best advice for in this situations is be honest with them, right? You're either going to be honest with them, or you're going to be stumbling over yourself trying to think of a lie that makes absolutely no sense anyway.
Yeah, exactly. 100%.
Yeah.
And in my opinion, I'm buying it from you at what you're selling it for. So what do you care what I do with it, right?
Exactly.
Unless, you know, some companies obviously have regulations and stuff like that they don't want you reselling. That's a different thing, but you know.
Yeah, don't ask Target managers for that.
Right.
That's the one place you don't want to ask. Target hates resellers. But I was talking with another seller, I think yesterday, and they were saying, because they're a big seller, bigger than us, and they still do retail arbitrage. And she was saying whenever she goes into a store, like after she goes once or twice, a couple times, she just tells the store manager exactly what she does and says, let me know if I can, you know, get extra stuff or get it at a bigger discount. And normally it goes well. It's like, just be upfront about it. There's no need to hide it. It's like sometimes
you don't know, the manager might get bonuses for reaching a certain mark. You know, you never know. You know, like you said, you don't know unless you take the action and you find out.
Yep. And if this is, you know, a business that you want to scale, speaking to to the listeners, like if you're just starting out retail arbitrage, practicing those skills will prepare you for wholesale. Because as you're like retail arbitrage and online arbitrage is very transactional. You kind of just like you either go through the checkout line or you're online placing the order. But then once you get to wholesale, then there's that people element involved with it too. But it's the same soft skills of building a relationship with the store manager as building a relationship with the sales rep. It's like, how can I help you help me? And let's make this work out for the both of us. Let's get the most amount of product possible at the best price possible, and then shake hands, win-win, and keep doing business.
Agreed.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So I know that you recently got a prep center, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. So as I know, as you're going into next year and you're trying to scale this up, adding in a little bit of the wholesale, have the vision to go full time. Is your goal to do a lot more through the prep center, or are you still going to try and keep as much in-house for as long as you can in regards to like your prep?
I think I'd like to start implementing the prep center more, I think it depends on the item too. Sometimes it makes more sense to do in-house, right? With Amazon's fees and then on top of the prep center fees, but it's usually, pennies on the dollar, the difference between the two. So, I like being able to send a whole bunch to the prep center, and then the prep center send to Amazon, and then Amazon sell, and then my phone ding notifications, and I don't have to touch anything, right?
Yeah.
It's more of a reality check doing it for yourself, right? You're actually earning it, and that's all good. You're getting what you put out. But I like being at my daughter's softball game on the weekends and my phone vibrating, and I'm just watching the game, making money. It's a crazy feeling, and I didn't think it was a thing.
Yeah, having all that stuff outsourced is it's crazy. And yeah. I mean, I remember the first wholesale order we did through a prep center, where it's like we placed the order with the supplier, then it goes to the prep center, then it goes to Amazon, then it sells through. It's like literally did not touch the product once.
Yeah.
I barely even looked at it.
Yeah.
I just had the money, and then somehow more money ended up in the bank account. It's like at that point, it's almost
guys did the same thing. They probably couldn't even tell you what the product looked like if you ask them. They have no idea.
Yeah, the sales rep also isn't looking at it.
Yeah.
Now our prep center is really good at verifying that it's the same product, and if I ask them to send me a picture, they will. So then I can see the product that way. But and especially once you get to scale, because there's a certain point where you like, even for us, because we did a lot of prep in-house ourselves, and now we're doing more prep center, but you just can't do any more prep unless if you hire more people. And then at a certain point, even from a cost savings perspective, like you're not even saving that much money by doing it in-house yourself. Like for you, when you're doing FBM, obviously like you're just making more money doing it yourself. You're not charging yourself like a dollar per order rate. It's just however much profit you're making. But then once you have to factor in paying extra employees to do more prep for you and all of that, then it really starts to make sense to use a prep center. And with OA as well, because you're down in Florida. And what's your sales tax on on an apparel item, for example?
I think it's like around 7% or something like that.
Yeah. And if you're flipping products with a 25 to 35% margin, that 7% is a good chunk of your profit. But then if you have a prep center in a tax-free state, then you're actually essentially, instead of spending the sales tax, you're just spending that on the prep fee.
On the prep, exactly.
And then it kind of ends up evening out.
Yeah.
Yeah, big fan of prep centers.
Yeah.
How are things going with the VA for your online arbitrage sourcing? Do you still have him on board?
I do still have a VA on board. I communicate with him almost daily. He's good. I probably get 5 to 10 leads a day. And there's typically 3 or 4 good ones throughout the week that I can actually do something with. You can't expect them to find gold every single day. I can't imagine sitting there for 8 to 10 hours just doing that all day.
Sounds miserable.
but they do it, and he seems happy to do it. So it takes a little bit of the work. It relieves a little bit of the workload from myself,
100%.
which is good.
And that stuff that you're finding, you're sending that straight to your prep center?
That stuff, yeah. Typically, if I'm doing something OA, I mean, it's been different this month. This month, I've been getting a lot of stuff to the house and just doing a lot of stuff FBM. But prior to this month, everything I was finding online, I was sending right to the prep center, and I had a good little system going. And like I said, that was really nice,
Yeah.
not having to touch anything.
Yep. That's the dream.
Yeah.
So last question here, and then we'll kind of move towards wrapping up. So you've been selling since July. What have your revenue numbers look like over these last 5 months?
So I think I can try to pull something up. So this month I've done, at this point I've done around 30K
Nice.
revenue. My year to date revenue is 203.8 thousand.
So what? That's in like 6 months because you started in like June, July, somewhere around there.
Correct.
Wow.
Yeah.
Correct.
That's crazy. It took us a long time to hit that
A
mark.
long time.
I think
Yeah,
I
I mean,
don't
I
think
was-
we
I
hit
was
that till
actually-
year 3.
I hit the 10K and I'm like, holy cow. And then it got, 50, then it got to the 100. I'm like, this is absolutely absolute insanity. I've pumped out 7,433 individual units. And like I said, that's probably 90% FBM, so it's been mind blowing.
Dude, you are insane. You are insane.
But listen, you guys have seen the ROI on these products, so I'll do that all day long. It's no problem.
It's worth it.
No problem.
I mean, yeah, some of your stuff is over 100% ROI, right?
Yeah, I mean, some of it's been a couple hundred.
That's
That
wild.
is, yeah. There it is. One ASIN can literally change your. It's insane. We've had a couple ASINs like that where it's moved super high velocity, high ROI, did it FBM, but we haven't come across anything that's like at the scale that you've had it at. So I'm honestly just happy for you, man. It's so cool to see people.
The power of Amazon, it blows my mind. I'm like, I get to a point, I'm like, when the country's going to run out of people, like how many people can buy this stuff? It's mind blowing, and then I am on other platforms as well. I'm into like sports and stuff. I do like sports cards and stuff on eBay.
Cool.
And I've got stuff on Walmart as well, that platform. But the difference in the velocity, it's absolute night and day. Amazon has something special. It's absolutely mind blowing what they put out. I can't imagine what their numbers are. It's got to be absolute mind blowing.
Yeah, it is literally mind blowing. Like I try and think about how much I think it's hundreds of billions, or at least like 50 billion, somewhere around there. But the amount you can't even wrap your head around that.
Yeah,
like how big that number is. Yeah,
no.
That's wild.
Crazy.
Well, Tommy, we appreciate you coming on. Where can people find you?
I'm just on Twitter at TommyDR.
Okay.
I'm really not on Instagram and Facebook. I like to keep for my personal stuff. So on there, I post stuff pretty consistently.
Awesome.
I tag a bunch of people in my crew. I tag you guys. If you see somebody being tagged a lot in posts, reach out to that person. They're going to help you. And people tag me. I tag other people. Miles told me to do that in the very beginning. Tag him in something. And I tagged him in like one of my FBM orders, and then I checked it like 2 days later, and there was like 9,000 views. I was like, what the hell?
Yeah, he shot at the retweet.
Yeah, the power of the retweet is mind blowing. And then I'll get questions from people that I've never met before. And so if anybody has any questions, reach out. I'll help to the best that I can. I'm not gonna tell you something I don't know either, but I may be able to point you in the direction of somebody who may know as well.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
exactly.
Absolutely. Well, we appreciate your time, Tommy. We wish you the best of luck. And good luck next year with everything, especially with your business, man. I hope you do really well. We are definitely rooting for you.
Awesome, guys. I'll talk to you later.
All right. Thanks, guys, for listening. Catch you on the next episode.